We really didn't do too much on that particular Saturday. We were just seeking the mind of God and our Father and our Lord Jesus Christ to really get a sense of what we should do. And the very next day, which was Sunday, we went off to church and we didn't talk with anybody about it. We didn't mention it to anybody. And we went into the service just like usual, sat in our usual spot. And the music was worship music was powerful, uh, unlike other time, maybe because of the circumstances we were in. Um, it just the music spoke to our hearts and our spirits in a tremendous way. One of the songs was Oceans from Hillsong, and our minstrels did a wonderful job on it. And the words up on the board were just speaking to Becky and I intently. I mean, it was just amazing. She turned to me and she grabbed my hand, and we just held hands and almost wept because the way the music was ministering to us. And one of our pastors was up on the stage, and during a transition, just between him and his wife, who was the lead singer, she got inspired to insert into the program an unscheduled song. And lo and behold, it was a song by Keith Green. Now, Keith Green is one of our family's favorite uh, Christian minstrels. We loved him from the time we met him in Minnesota up until he passed away. And his ministry has always had an impact in our lives. His music has had a huge impact in our lives. And when our lead singer chose this song and put it into the mix for the day, just had a burden to do it. It wasn't on the schedule, and when she sang that, it was almost took us to our knees because the words were so powerful to us, and we couldn't believe it. We couldn't believe that the Lord was ministering to us through the worship like that, but He really was. And then lo and behold, our pastor Ron Hammonds gets up there, and as he does many times, he has a mini sermon before the main sermon. Some people call it a pre-sermon. And he began to speak, uh, and I almost thought he was uh, reading our minds. It was amazing what he had to say. He spoke words of encouragement. Nobody had shared anything with him. He didn't know anything about this. I called him a couple days later, and he still hadn't heard about our circumstances. When I told him how much his pre-sermon ministered to us. And he said such things as the Lord was speaking that there have been obstacles in people's lives, and that God was removing those obstacles for us to step into a new day, a new experience, a fulfillment of destiny for our lives. And I mean, it was like an arrow to our hearts, especially me. I'd struggled for years, wondering if God was done with me, or if I was ever going to be used of Him like in the past, or in the future. Was I going to be used like that, or a part of His kingdom? I struggled for years, and it was like He was just using that man on the stage to speak to my heart, and I embraced it. I embraced it and said, "Yes, Lord, uh, Your will be done." Um, there's nothing else I could say. I mean, I just surrendered to what the Spirit of the Lord was saying through this man. And we went home, and we had a good time with our family. We watched the Packer game together, but unfortunately they had their second loss, so that was kind of a bummer. But we did fill in the whole family on the details of what had been going on. And we just assured them that Mom and I were at peace and that we were looking to the Lord for our future steps, the future direction that we should go in. And I shared with them that, the only leading I had up until that point was to just make myself available for ministry. I had done funeral services in my previous job numbers of times, and so I thought, well, I'll present myself to the funeral directors that I knew personally and funeral homes in our area, and just say, if you have families that come in that don't have a local pastor or connected to a local church and they need a minister to do funeral services, I'll be glad to help. And I offered my services. And basically, that's what I did on Monday, is that I began to call my friends in the business and let them know that I was available to help them meet the needs of their families in any way that I could. And I got some very favorable input from some of my friends. They're shocked of what happened to me, but still very encouraging words from the funeral directors and the funeral home owners, saying that yes, we will use you, but and we'll also, some of them were saying, we'll even pray that God shows you just exactly what to do. And so that was the way our Monday started out. Encouragement from people in the industry, and that, I think, will, if we can get 2 or 3 of those a week, or would be amazing. If 3 or 4 would almost replace my income lost from my job. But we're going to trust the Lord to open up the doors and opportunities for that. Some of them suggested other opportunities, like pastors for hospices in the area. I noticed that there was a job available at one of our local hospitals, Crispus Hospital, and so I applied for chaplain on their staff, and I also applied for 1 or 2 other positions with local hospice as a spiritual counselor / chaplain for their facilities. And that pretty well took care of Monday and Tuesday. Wednesday we went off to church. They were having a wonderful Veterans Day celebration, and they got all the pictures of the veterans, including myself, Becky and I. Here I am dressed in my whites, and her in her pitch black hair, and we went and enjoyed the celebration of the veterans of our fine country, and were blessed by the people. And then Thursday and Friday were filled with just the laborious, I mean laborious, attempts of working out unemployment compensation, getting registered about our Medicare, Medicaid benefits, see if I qualify for this, that, or whatever, and also applying for other benefits, Texas benefits, and eventually I want to get in touch with the Veterans Administration and see what we can do there. All this is leading us up to my talking with some other funeral directors, and in fact, one of the jobs that I applied for, one of my funeral home owner friends said he knew the director of that particular hospice, and he knew the director over all of the hospices